Congratulations. You've been named service manager. That's great, because what that means is somebody above you, a service director, a general manager, a dealer principal, or somebody has a lot of faith in you and feels like you can handle the department properly. It also comes down with a little bit of a, not necessarily a downside, but another role. You are now a marriage counselor, a psychologist, a financial advisor, a priest, a shaman, a rabbi. You are whatever your employees need to be successful. And you'll have to fill that role. And that is the overarching role for a service manager, or for any manager for that matter, providing your employees what they need to be successful. So in my seminars, I usually will start with and say, what is the most important job of a service manager? And I get a whole lot of answers. Usually it's profitability, money going to the bottom line, contribution, customer service, customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, high CSI scores. There's a lot of good answers. But the number one role of a service manager is to manage safety in the department. Because if you don't do this properly, nothing else matters. Everything else goes out the window. And this is not only managing safety for your employees, also for the people that are visiting your service department and your customers during and after the service visit. And it starts with organization. Does your service shop look like this? Or this? Do your service techs look like this when they're working on something? And then my all-time favorite of lack of safety is this guy here, and yes, it is a guy because there's no woman on earth that's stupid enough to do this, has got this truck scotched over to the right, the wheel scotched over to the right for stability. He's thinking ahead. He puts not one, but two supports. The difference is, if you look at it closely, there's probably about 2.5 inches of contact patch with those supports and the ground. And the guy's in a sitting upright position welding on something. If this thing gives way, this guy's folded in half and he's toast. Cancel Christmas. You need to understand, mistakes are going to happen, but they must be reported to you. If your employee makes a mistake or sees an unsafe situation, it must be a non-negotiable in your department that employee must report that to you. And you must act on it. It's imperative that you take steps to mitigate those mistakes or that unsafe situation as fast as possible. Let's talk about negligence. Negligence is a failure to take proper care in doing something. Failure to use reasonable care resulting in the damage or injury to another. So in other words, if you set up an environment in your service department, whether it's your equipment, your tools, lack of training for your techs, your cleanliness, your organization, and you set up an environment that somebody gets hurt, that can result in negligence. And then there's another level. It's called gross negligence. It's a conscientious voluntary act or omission in reckless disregard of the consequences to another party. A great example of this is if your mechanic is working on a customer's machine and they notice that there's a crack in the frame. Something is wrong with the structural integrity of that unit. They bring it to your attention. Now, you must at that time get with the customer and point that out to them. Send them pictures, show them in person. You need to do whatever you can to get across to the fact that that machine is no longer safe. And if the customer chooses not to rectify the situation, I would definitely get something in writing from the customer that they acknowledgement that they have been told that this is an unsafe machine. The problem is if you willingly and wantingly do not inform the customer on this, that can go into gross negligence. And gross negligence in a court holds a higher standard. It not only can provide for compensatory damages or actual damages, but it also can provide for punitive damages, which means that the court or a jury can award additional monetary damages on the person who perpetrated the gross negligence to punish them. So let's go over what's the cost of negligence. Someone gets hurt on your watch. You don't want that on your conscience. As human beings, we don't like to hurt other people unless you're a psycho or something like that. We want to take care of people. It's part of our nature generally to take care of people and watch out for people. So we want to make sure that we are doing everything we can to avoid getting somebody hurt, whether it's an employee or a visitor or a customer. possible litigation to your dealership. If somebody does get hurt and there is a lawsuit filed, as the service manager, you will be deposed. No ifs, ands, or buts. Even if you no longer work for the dealership, you will be deposed. And a quick tip for you, if you do get a summons to a deposition, set up a time and go. Don't make them come get you, because they will. Even in a civil trial, a judge can order you to go to a deposition. Therefore, if you refuse that order, that becomes criminal. And then a couple of guys at windbreakers will show up at your house or your place of business or whatever and compel you to go to the deposition. And if you've never sat through a deposition, it's not a good day at the office. It's a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of money that goes into it. Also, litigation can result in bad optics for your dealership. If you live in a big city like a Houston or New York or something like that, you can get sued and somebody may or may not know. But if you're in a smaller market, there's a good chance that everybody, especially everybody who's aware of your dealership, is going to know that your dealership's involved in a lawsuit because it's public knowledge. That's a problem. It can also result in increased rates for canceled insurance. Insurance rates have been going up year over year for most dealerships just because of the way the world is at this time. You might want to take time to ask your dealer principal or the general manager what percentage of the insurance rates are attributed to service. It will surprise you. It's generally one of the highest areas where the insurance goes because the risk is higher there. And then if you have a problem with a gross negligence claim, you may not be able to get insurance at all. And a dealership cannot operate without insurance. And then lastly, putting your dealership in financial peril. Yes, your dealership's going to have insurance. And yes, the insurance will usually take care of lawyers' fees and that sort of thing. But all dealerships have limits. All insurance plans have limits. If you're in a gross negligence situation, the punitive damages could be above and beyond what your insurance limits are, putting the dealer ownership in financial peril.